Hey, I am not a big fan of test. I really don't like test. Multiple choice, true and false, all of that. I don't care what kind of a test it is. I'm not a fan. I have taken my share of tests. I have flunked my share of tests. I've even flunked my driver's test. I flunked it twice. It was kind of embarrassing. I'm not proud of it, but it's a fact. Okay, it's the truth. In Genesis chapter 22, God gives Abraham, who is the artist formerly known as Abraham, he gives him a really big test. And here's what it looks like. And in the midst of giving him a test, he also gives us a picture. And he gives us just a glimpse at his big picture and his plan, and shows us, here's what my plan is. Okay, and God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son. What? His only son? Isaac, okay? And he asked him to sacrifice his son. And that's mean, and that's horrible. And what a terrible thing. But it's a test. It's only a test. Okay, verse 1 says this: God tested Abraham. So God never really intended for Abraham to carry it out. He just wanted to see if he was going to. And here he is. He wants to see if Abraham really trusts him. If Abraham is willing to give up the promise. Here, Abraham has the promise. You're going to be the father of many generations. And Isaac is the fulfillment, the beginning of the fulfillment of that promise. And God comes along and says, I want you to sacrifice the promise. You think you've got me figured out, but I want you to lay that on the altar. And I want you to put it out. So it makes no sense whatsoever. But is Abraham going to trust him? Is Abraham going to completely trust God with the promise when it makes no sense whatsoever? Turns out Abraham trusts his father, even when he doesn't have a clue, even when he doesn't know what's going to go on. And this is what it makes Abraham such a big deal, because he's got this full contact faith. This active obedience it's amazing. And he's willing to act upon what he believes, even when it makes no sense whatsoever. All right, now I think the really big hero of this story, the unsung hero of this story, is Isaac. Here is Isaac. He's a young guy. His name means laughter, but I don't think he's laughing in this story. And his dad gets him to the top of the mountain, and his dad tells him, hey, guess what? You're the sacrifice. And Isaac could have fought it. His dad, Abraham, is over 100 years old at this point. So I think Isaac could have outrun him. I think he could have, just fought it and refused to surrender to this. But Isaac lays down his rights. He lays down on the altar, and he submits to his dad. Isaac trusts his father, even when it doesn't make sense. Even when he doesn't have a clue, Isaac trusts his dad. It's a big deal. Abraham also gives us this really cool prophetic word in verse 8. And he says this: God will provide the sacrifice. Okay? God will provide the sacrifice. And God reveals his ultimate plan in all of this. God will provide the lamb. God will provide the sacrifice. It turns out an only son does need to be sacrificed, but it's not Abraham's son. It's God's son, Jesus. And God's going to provide a sacrifice for Abraham and for Isaac and for us. And he's going to give his son, his only son, Jesus, the Lamb of God. And he's going to provide the ultimate sacrifice. God did what Abraham didn't have to do. He gave his son for us. I want to trust my father. I want to trust my father even when I don't have a clue. I want to trust him because he has a plan.